Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Kathy Holmes, Project Director for the Navarre Beach Sea Turtle Conservation Center, 6797 Fernandina, Navarre, Florida.
And I am Nancy Sandler, 1905 Williams Creek Drive in Navarre, Florida.
After meeting on Monday, I went home and mulled over some of the concerns that you had referenced the money that we were requesting for the Sea Turtle Conservation startup and the building. And yesterday I did a new proposal you should have in your binders that changed up the money aspect of it, still not the building. I don't know how to convey the urgency of us being able to lease a building in order to write the grants, be awarded the grants to prove that we can be self-sufficient. Without the building, the two grants that we have right now that are equaling right around $45,000, they're not even going to let us submit them. Without a facility where if those grants are awarded and we have pools and filtration systems, we have a facility to put those pools and filtration systems in. So on the $165,000 county money issue, we changed that to matching funds. But even with the matching funds when we raise $10,000 or more, then have the county match that, we can even hold off on that matching funds. Let us go ahead and continue what we're doing with raising the money. Lease us the building, which has been vacant for 7 years and not bringing in any money anyway. On top of that, when we get into that building, we're not going to be making major modifications that would change the building if something did happen, and I don't like to use the word fail because I don't believe we're going to fail in this endeavor, but if something would happen where this would not be a successful endeavor, you would be having that building back improved because it's going to be better than what it is now, being vacant for 7 years. We plan on going in and doing some very nice murals. We have a local artist that's going to be doing some murals. We're going to clean it up. The pools and filtration systems that will be going into the building can be easily removed. There's not going to be any damage to walls or anything like that. There's going to be interpretive displays. If the rehab facility for some reason didn't go through, you would have a beautiful building, if nothing else, for interpretation for visitors. I also went back and figured out, I sent an updated budget too, an annual budget. And I went back to figure out, based on other sea turtle rehab facilities, not marine parks, not amusement parks, strictly sea turtle rehabilitation facilities with small interpretive centers and education programs that go along with that. And I took less visitors because a lot of the facilities are in the central and south end of Florida. And I took it, even if we have 50,000 visitors a year, I don't think that's too high of a number, especially when we're planning on all the school groups and things that we have coming through, the different activities we have. And we charge them $5 a person. We're at $250,000 a year. That's no grant writing, that's no fundraising, that's nothing but admission to the facility. $250,000 per year would have that facility probably run with paying salaries, which we don't have salaries right now, for probably 3 to 4 years, because we're not going to be a large-scale, multi-million-dollar facility. We're going to have a facility that fits with Northwest Florida, Okaloosa County, Escambia County, and probably some turtles from Alabama. And some of our fundraising, we've raised over $10,000 in less than 30 days, and that was not doing anything other than just going out because we've been invited to all these different festivals and events. I had a large donation from somebody in Texas who also has a home on Navarre Beach, another large donation from somebody in Louisiana. And so I don't think that there's a problem of support and sustainability. What our problem is we need the building. That's all we're asking for today, is even though we're not on the agenda, we're asking that you would vote to get the lease part going on the building without giving us any money. Just the lease.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Manley.
Thank you. Kathy, can you work your grants with a conditional lease from us based upon if we could lease it for a shorter period than the period you're asking for until we are satisfied that you have secured the grants, the funding, et cetera. Well, what we have here is a chicken or the egg situation. You can't get grants until you get a lease, and we don't want to give you a lease till you get grants. So if we gave you a lease for a shorter term, 2 or 3 year lease, contingent upon meeting some fundraising goals, will that free you up to pursue these grants?
Yes, it will.
That shouldn't be very much of a problem then.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Sullivan.
on Monday, we had asked for some type of business plan, financial statement. This is something I had not seen before. I appreciate the work you put into it. Makes me feel more comfortable now that y'all do have a plan to move forward. So I would encourage you in the future, give us a little bit more lead time on stuff like this versus just, we need it now. So I don't have a problem with a shorter term lease if the county attorney says it'll work out.
And we're also working on a 5-year plan now, and we'll get that to you as soon as that's completed for a 5-year plan.
Commissioner Litcher.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Kathy, I met with you back in May. I support the Sea Turtle Center. I may have a little different hope for it in the future. It sounds like you're mentioning a small interpretive center and everything. And when we met then, I asked you about NERDA and long-term goals and what was possible out there. In my mind, this is a project that is just right in the wheelhouse of NERDA or Restore. Either the local county allocation could be utilized for this, or the state share, or NERDA. And I don't want you to set the bar too low. And this, a small facility, I'm wondering, is this going to harm your chances of getting a big NERDA grant? I know I see in here you have a NERDA project request in for $1.5 million. Have you partnered up with the Georgia Aquarium or the Sea Turtle Center down in the Keys or SeaWorld? I mean, to put that project request together?
Yes, sir. What we did is, right now I'm working with the Sea Turtle Hospital in Marathon. A lot of emails, a lot of phone calls, getting guidance from them. We're probably going to be partnering with an organization, once again, it's in the Keys, Marathon, Save a Turtle. They work very closely with the Sea Turtle Hospital in Marathon. I've also been coordinating with a gentleman, Ryan Butts, with Gumbo Limbo Sea Turtle Hospital, which is a huge facility that actually got shut down by FWC probably a 1.5 years ago because of problems with their tanks. And he went in and has redone all that. I'm working with him on that. The issue with the NERDA funds originally, they were put in by Charlene Morrow from the Science Center. And when she put that grant together, she was looking at some beach restoration, planting, boardwalks, and when she put it in, I think it was worded, correct me if I'm wrong, that it would be more like a holding facility for turtles to be transferred to a facility where there would be larger tanks. And since that's been put in, this has evolved to a regular sea turtle rehabilitation facility.
Okay.
And if the money comes in and we get $1 million, we can definitely build larger.
But has that request been made through NERDA?
I believe that Charlene was contacted by Sheila Harris, if I may be wrong on that name, referenced the grant writing, and I cannot tell you whether or not it was rewritten at that time. One of the things that came down was for the NERDA grants that went in that had to do with any kind of FWC permitting issues, they had to be submitted, make it to the top 5 or 6, and then go through FWC to be stamped before it went any farther. And she was trying to look into that to see if it made it past the FWC stamp of approval.
We have separate pots of money that we're dealing with, and NERDA is one, and right now there's $100 million that's been allocated to Florida in early restoration money, and only about $6 million of that has been allocated. So there's still $90 million out there. And that's just a small slice of NERDA. NERDA could be, billions more that comes. We have Restore, with 3 different pots of money in Restore that are going to be funding environmental projects and ecosystem restoration projects. And DEP has said, we want a sea turtle project, and I'm certain that somewhere along the Gulf Coast, a world-class facility is going to be built. And is that what you want to do? That's what I would like to see. But I don't want to harm the chances of us getting that facility by approving something that is small and, we're not shooting for the moon. So that's where I am. I support the project in its entirety, but I want it to be a major deal. I think it has the potential to be a huge draw for tourists. 50,000 people a year would be a drop in the bucket compared to what it could do if it's done right. I don't think we're going to be able to do it right on a shoestring. I don't think a 1,200 square foot building or whatever the size of it is with a couple of tanks is what NERDA's looking for. That's not going to knock the socks off the people who are studying these proposals. That's why I asked if you had approached, the Georgia Aquarium or SeaWorld or one of these, somebody that would grab the attention of the people who are reviewing the NERDA projects and say, oh, look, this is, a world-class organization that's partnering up with the Navarre group to locate a facility down here. And then our chances of getting that funding through NERDA or Restore, are much greater than they are right now. So, don't shoot yourself in the foot by settling for $165,000 in a 1,200 square foot pagoda on the beach. Let's do it right to begin with, and we could have something that is amazing in Navarre. Alternatively, we have a small rehab facility with a small interpretive center, and then in Biloxi or Gulfport or Panama City, there's a $5 million, interpretive turtle center. So that's something to be wary of.
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Lynch. And I understand your point exactly. It's very well made. My point, I'm a little confused. Would we be hamstrung, and this is a question now, would we be hamstrung by starting with this? This is just a point of departure in my mind. I share your vision for this, that this becomes a world-class turtle restoration center, but would we be hamstrung by starting with this and then expanding? I don't see it, but I mean, I don't know. You know this process much better than I do, and that's an honest question. That's not rhetorical. Do you think, in your opinion, that we would hurt the long-range chances by starting small?
I don't know that we necessarily would hurt the chances. I just want to make sure that once we approve the lease, you're going to go after $45,000 in grants. $45,000 in grants is nothing for a project like this. It's certainly nothing with regard to NERDA.
$60,000 from the TDC. I'm good for up to $165,000, and we're going to be writing grants, but we can't write grants until we have the lease. And so it's kind of like I said earlier, it's the chicken and the egg situation. Yeah. I share your vision for this thing being really world-class. I don't know that we hurt ourselves. And that's not rhetorical. That's an honest question. If this is not the right way to do it, then I could support backing off. But right now, if it won't hurt us, if we can grow from this, then I think we need to go ahead and get them a lease based on receiving this funding, and let's get started.
And I guess what I'm getting at ultimately is, if this is your vision, the diagram that's in our backup, and somebody else comes to me or this board and says, will you support our turtle project? We want to co-locate a facility on Navarre Beach and somewhere on the mainland, so we can have that safety for the animals in the event of a hurricane, and we can have that large structure that we don't have room for out on the beach. I'm going to support that group, because that's what I would like to see. I think that's what the community would like to see. I think that's what you would like to see, but I need to know that you're working towards that. And I think one way that you could get started on that is to approach those other entities that have a lot more clout than we do, and than the Navarre Beach Turtle Group does, and see if they're interested in partnering up. Pitch that NERDA process to them and say, hey, we have a grand vision for Navarre Beach. We have the turtle nesting area. We want to put a turtle center down here. We want you to partner with us, go in on this NERDA application or restore application, and let's see what happens.
Okay, and that is my vision. We want to go to a phase 2 and a phase 3 and make this much larger than what it is. A lot of turtle hospitals start out like we're trying to start out here. And the building itself, it's only like 1,100 square feet. But with the addition to that, we're going to have almost 2,800 square feet plus some outside pools. The big issue is FWC, to get the permitting through them, which was, we got a call from them yesterday, and they told me to start the application process for the permitting. If we have the building up, we have it running, they know we're doing a fantastic job, because we are going to do a fantastic job. We're focused on sea turtle conservation. We get the permitting, then we get our specialized permitting. At any point, if that money comes in, we can expand to wherever we need to expand to. We'll already have the permitting, and it's just a lot of facilities like this start out small, and as they get their grant money, they just keep building. And that's how the Sea Turtle Hospital in Marathon. I actually have blueprints from the Galveston Sea Turtle Hospital in Galveston, Texas. Yeah. It's big. Yeah. It's $5 million.
I guess, and that's along the lines of what I'm thinking about. And I guess what I want to say is the clock is ticking. Yes. Don't lose sight of that by starting. You have to go down both roads at the same time. Okay. Don't lose sight of that. Keep pursuing that big NERDA grant. Pull the one that you already have in there and get started on a new one with somebody that can fund the proposal that it's going to require. You need feasibility studies. You need everything packaged up, to submit to the NERDA Council to get it approved, or submit to the local Restore Council. But the clock is ticking, because one's going to get approved somewhere. Mm-hmm. It may as well be in Santa Rosa County.
Commissioner Cole.
Yeah, thank you. Julie, you're sitting out here looking like a young child on Santa Claus's lap asking for a baby doll and getting offered the whole Barbie doll collection. So I support this 100%. I support what I hear from Commissioner Lynchard, but I think we need to crawl before we walk. And if NERDA or any other anybody else, BP, Restore, sees that we're on this track, we're moving forward with or without them, we're going forward, I think that can only escalate the chances to be able to expand this more rapidly. So
I agree.
I have no problem putting a lease in. What I want you to keep in mind, though, and Cal Hawley discovered this through going for grant applications with the Agriplex, leverage everything you can, because that's what everybody else does. Leverage the property, leverage the building, leverage the matching dollars, because when you're applying for those grants, everybody else is using those as leverage. Multiple use. Cal found out that some counties are applying for grants, and if a building has multiple use, they're including the value of the building several times because of the different multiple uses. So, and I'm sure Cal will be glad to explore that with you and help you, with some of that information that he's garnered. I don't see any problem with the building. To me, this is just like the Agriplex, where if the county moves forward on that 25-acre lease, we get it back one day if it doesn't make it with the improvements. So the same thing here. Go ahead. The building's been sitting empty 7 years. Let's get it functional again, get something going on there. It could always be changed into a small display to say, hey, if you come by this building, come see what the bigger one's like. If you like this, look what we got going on now or what we have planned now. So it can be that poster child for a bigger facility. So,
Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Miller.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we direct the county attorney to prepare a lease between ourselves and the, what's the full name? Kathy, what's the full?
It's the Navarre Beach Sea Turtle Conservation Center.
The Navarre Beach Sea Turtle Conservation Center. And let's set it for 5 years and make it conditional for review based upon fundraising, and let's get this started. And I do so without objection.
Hearing none, it passes.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Holmes, I would recommend that you get with Ms. Harris, and I'm going to get your contact information to give to her, because I think you really need to, we need to make sure that whatever is in the current NERDA application is current. And you may want to break it out separately from the marine science thing. I mean, I wouldn't blanch at what a price is going to be. I mean, we need I think Commissioner Lynchard's right. We need to have some kind of solid thought about what the price is. And I mean, what you really want to do, and at least get that started, at least get it in the system. Not only the NERDA system now, which I'm like y'all, I had brown hair when that thing started, but at some point, Mr. Lynchard's right, the Restore Council is going, there are going to be funds, and this is, I'm telling you, this is tailor-made for it. I mean, this thing is what they'll be begging for somewhere. I mean, Mr. Lynchard's right, somebody's going to get one of these, and it's going to be a class.
I'll be glad to work with you.
Right. And
Thank you.
I would love to see us begin to look for a bigger footprint in the park. I can't think of a finer thing to be the centerpiece of that park.
Yeah, the park, we would love to stay in the park, and Charlene brought up something the other day. If we move that facility in the future, or try to even build it someplace else now, what she wants to do with the education part of that, with the students, it's going to make it harder for her to get there because she has to bus the kids wherever we are. So right now we can walk right across, and she's got a huge audience and financial opportunities just with the kids that come through her doors.
Let's stick to one problem at a time. Let's fix this one.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, does anyone else have any business they'd like to bring before the board?